free.
I'm Bill Walter, KBNU News. News brought to you by Logan Extermination. A 46-year-old Logan man already facing multiple charges of sexual battery has been arrested again for allegedly urinating in front of 3 children. Ayaso Berhani Durar was booked into the Cache County Jail on May 29th. According to an arrest affidavit, Logan City police officers received a call claiming Durar was seen urinating into the Little Logan River. He reportedly had long hair and was wearing a gray sweater and black pants. Police arrived on scene and located the suspect, later identified as Durar. He reportedly did not speak English and had a heavy odor of alcohol coming from his person. The 3 juveniles described how Durar allegedly exposed himself to them while urinating in the small creek. He had fled the area on foot, walking west on 400 South before being located by police. According to court records, Durar was charged with sexual battery, intoxication, interference with an arresting officer, and other charges after a similar incident in August 2023. A warrant was later issued for his arrest after he failed to appear in court. Durar has now been charged with 3 counts of lewdness involving a child, a Class A misdemeanor, and public urination, an infraction. He is scheduled to appear again in court June 24th. According to booking records, Durar is being held in jail without bail. He could face up to 1 year in jail if convicted. House District 2 candidate and the incumbent in the race, Mike Peterson, returned to KVNU's For the People program last week. Peterson said one size does not fit all when it comes to recent legislation, as the state seems to be absorbing more power.
It was intended to make the process for getting houses built happen quicker.
Which sounds great, right?
Which sounds great, except that if it's made for Salt Lake City and for Provo and Orem, who have large staffs on their in their city offices, versus Lewiston or Richmond or Smithfield, who doesn't have a staff of people who can handle the paperwork.
He said the bill has language in it that you had to turn over the paperwork in about 30 days, and that cannot be done in smaller communities.
It also reduced the amount of public input, public hearings that can happen. Again, that's a problem. I voted against that because it's a problem. But I guarantee you, because I've spoken with many of our mayors who've called to ask what the heck happened, and I agree. What the heck happened? Because this is causing significant issues for them, and I would not be surprised if next session we don't do something to change that.
Peterson's opponent in District 2 is former educator Mike Monson. And the Utah Supreme Court will hear a lawsuit brought by a group of teens challenging the state's fossil fuel policies that they say harm their health and exacerbate climate change. The state's top court could revive a legal challenge that was dismissed in 2022 by a lower court judge. While he declared the teens have a valid concern about climate change and the impacts of the state's fossil fuel policies, the judge dismissed their lawsuit, declaring that the issues fell within the realm of the legislative branch of the government. The teens appealed, and the court agreed to take up the case, setting arguments for September 4th. A notation in the docket indicates Associate Chief Justice John Pierce has recused himself from hearing the case. Prior to joining the court, he was legal counsel for then Governor Gary Herbert. KVNU weather brought to you by Quality First Insurance. Insuring your business can be frustrating. Matt Robbins at Quality First can help. He will call you back. For more information, go to q1ins.com. Mostly clear tonight and still cool, but not as cold. 27 was our low this morning. New record breaker. Overnight tonight, low in the upper 30s, close to 40 degrees, and then mostly sunny tomorrow, high around 78. Get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
With summer here, our beautiful lawns face a new threat. It's a threat you can't see because it's happening below the grass level, at the roots. Those nasty bill bugs and grubs are beginning to hatch, and they are hungry. Your lawn is a smorgasbord to them, and they can't wait to belly up to the table. Get a jump on those bugs by calling Logan Extermination today. They'll apply a custom spray for bugs and also fertilize to keep weeds under control and your grass growing tall. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Where's my glasses? My contacts are hurting my eyes.
Your busy life does not have to be limited by blurred vision or the hassle of contacts and glasses. Hi, this is Dr. Landon Karen. I am a board-certified ophthalmologist with Northern Utah Eye Center. I'm excited to announce that we are now offering LASIK eye surgery. LASIK eye surgery doesn't just change your vision, it changes your life. Visit northernutaheyecenter.com or call 752-2020 to schedule your free LASIK consult today.
You're gonna love what you see.
Paid for by Lyman for Utah.
In 2020, COVID changed our lives. We were looking for answers. We were scared. We hoped the government would give us some help, and that government betrayed us. Government officials chose to exploit this moment and to enrich their friends. Our state bought masks that didn't protect, tests that did not work. People lost faith in our government institutions. We have a chance to fix this. We can vote for something different. If you feel the way I do, I'm asking for your vote.
Phil Lyman for governor.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. This is a story that came to us from a real customer, and I wanted to share it with you.
I'm a new CPAP user. The only thing I knew about CPAP when I walked in the door was that I didn't want to wear one. The introductory class with the respiratory therapist at Alpine was great. I left feeling confident and less intimidated by the whole process.
We love hearing about your experiences. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com.
Retirement. Are you ready? Adams Wealth Advisors specializes in preparing you for a secure retirement. There's no reason to feel frustrated. The team at Adams Wealth will create a personalized plan that includes timing of retirement, reliable income sources, Social Security, estate planning, and more. Adams Wealth Advisors has a team of CPA, certified financial planners, Social Security experts to help you plan and retire with confidence. Call today, 752-1702, or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com. Your dream retirement starts here.
Calling all golfers. Do you love tournament golf? I invite you to call Birch Creek today and sign up for the Birch Creek Am or Senior Amateur to be played this Friday, June 21st. The Birch Creek Am and Senior Am is an 18-hole stroke play event. All golfers must have a USGA handicap to participate. So if you love tournament golf, call Birch Creek today at 563-6825 and sign up for this Friday's Birch Creek Am and Senior Am. That's Birch Creek Golf Course in Smithfield.
Hi, John Weiss here. There's nothing better than summer adventures. But summer adventures aren't complete without a reliable Jeep from Heritage Auto to get you there. It's the perfect time to purchase one because right now is our Make This the Summer event. All month long, you can get $2,000 of bonus cash allowance and no monthly payments for 90 days when you purchase a 2024 Jeep Gladiator or most Wranglers. See dealership for details. Visit us today at Heritage Auto, your hometown dealer with the biggest deals.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Thanks again to Chase Levitt for stopping by. Chase is, I have to say, one of the, whether you agree with his personal politics or the candidates he's supporting or not, he is one of the most involved and observant young people that I've met in politics these days. He's really paying attention to how it works, not just the candidates he prefers or the politics he prefers, but how the whole process is playing out. And so to have him come in and talk to us about what he's hearing from his peers, other members of Gen Z, how this is one of the most unique generations, and that's probably been said about every generation ever. I realize as it comes out of my mouth, but really to me, think about this. This is a generation that has never known a world without high-speed internet. They have never known a world without, at least as self-aware adults or semi-adults, as teenagers, they've never known a world without the smartphone and the constant connectivity. They've never known a world anyway. What this has led to is a generation that, if you talk to marketers, they will describe them as impossible to market to, because they are so keenly aware they're being marketed to that they don't fall for catchy jingles. Well, everyone falls for catchy jingles, because the way a catchy jingle works is that you hear a catchy jingle for, say, a plumber. You're not going to call the plumber that day because you don't need a plumber, but the next time a pipe breaks, the first thing you're going to remember is this catchy jingle on a radio ad for a plumber, and you're going to find the number for that plumber and call them. So that will always be effective, because catchy jingles, that's just a human thing. But when it comes to marketing language, Gen Z is skeptical. It doesn't mean they won't buy your product, but it means when they do buy your product, they're not buying it because of your advertising efforts. It's because they chose to, for whatever reason they chose to. And maybe it's because your advertisement was the least irritating to them. Who knows? But either way, they have been the consternation of marketing professionals for a few years now, trying to figure out, how do you market to this generation that has been over-marketed to since birth, because they have always been online. It's difficult. Now translate that into the world of politics, and you can see the same problem. How does a political campaign market, because that's what campaigns are doing, market the candidate to young voters, to voters under the age of 25, like Chase? No one's figured it out yet. I'm sure there's an answer, but some of the early signs, some of the things that we've seen that political scientists have documented, Gen Zers like Chase very much respond to authenticity and involvement. If for example, a laundry detergent maker or a political candidate or both ask them to directly get involved and make a decision in the campaign, there's this amazing story of a political candidate going viral recently because a young person criticized their TV ad, and the candidate on her personal Twitter account jumped in the conversation, and instead of defending herself or her campaign or criticizing the critic, which is how most politicians would probably respond, or have a surrogate respond that way, the candidate herself jumped in and said, "How would you have made this ad better? Why didn't this ad work on you? I thought it was great, but you hated it, obviously. Why did you hate it? What would have made the ad better?" And they had this public conversation that the conversation itself then went viral, and that candidate ended up, by the end of that week, had raised close to $500,000 in an otherwise pretty sleepy state Senate race in the Midwest, because she jumped in and had this authentic conversation publicly, and I think that part mattered to the young voters, and it ended up on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, not Facebook, because the youngs don't use the Facebook anymore. But it to me, that kind of encapsulated at least everything I've read about Gen Z and about this up and coming generation. But imagine if that stays the case, which, every previous generation has held on to their quirks throughout most of their lives. So it's safe to say that however Gen Z works is how they'll work their whole lives. And as they continue to age and become the dominant voting bloc, as every generation gets their turn to be, imagine how this affects politics. If it's affecting the marketing of laundry detergent that way now, imagine how it affects politics when they become the majority voting bloc for the country. And they are, impossible to market to. You have to have authentic, very real conversations with them to get them engaged. Otherwise, they either don't show up at all, or they choose someone else that seemed less inauthentic than your campaign did. That could be an absolute game changer for politics, because the era we're in right now, and I'm not blaming Gen Z, Gen X, or millennials for this necessarily. I think it's more that the political winds started to go this way, and millennials and Gen X didn't care enough to stop it, whereas Gen Z has said, look, we don't have to be involved in this. You can't force us to pay attention to your system of doing things that we don't like when it comes to the way you're marketing your candidates and your party. With Gen X and millennials, they were more like, nah, do what you want, and voted sometimes didn't in general. But that era, and I guess you could argue this maybe even goes back into, pre-Gen X, the tail end of baby boomers and others, because that era is the era where, politicians were learning how to polish themselves and run these zinger ads that could just completely upend a campaign or a primary because it was just that great of an ad, and it was so polished, and it had the right music, and it just the look to it, and that worked for 3, maybe 4 decades. That worked, and a given was if you could scare people. That's been a staple of politics forever, from Democrats and Republicans alike. If you could run an ad that scared people, and effectively and in a way that they would go talk to all their coworkers about the next day after seeing that ad, that was a absolute guarantee. And now with Gen Z, you're getting eye rolls. You try and scare them, eye rolls. Try and wow them, eye rolls. Try and convince them that you're the only person that can fix this problem, double eye rolls. But have an authentic conversation with them, and that attracts a lot of other attention, and that attention can actually make that conversation itself, as the case with this state senator in the Midwest, that conversation itself goes viral, and then by the end of the night, your campaign has raised $500,000 you didn't even ask for, because Gen Z just wanted to say thank you for being authentic. That's amazing to me. But again, it's a sea change. It is really different from the way things have worked so far. So all this is to say, again, thank you very much to Chase Levitt for coming in. Talk to Chase in the break there at the top of the hour, and we're going to work out some way that we can do this on a regular basis to bring Chase in. And as Chase said, he has his opinions. He's supporting Phil Lyman in the gubernatorial race, for example. He has his opinions. He may not, when it comes to politics, be where you're at. But he is probably one of the most observant people I've seen, even among the much older adults that I've known in politics, when it comes to the way things work. And so it's a pleasure to get to pick his brain and find out a little bit more about how the young voters are thinking. Because honestly, just a few short years, people Chase's age, they become the majority voting bloc in this country. They're the ones calling the shots when they hit their 30s. And so understanding how they work is going to be a great way to understand where the country goes. So thanks again to Chase. On the other side, speaking of Phil Lyman, this just happened to be a Phil Lyman sign at the center of this story, but it could have been any candidate. A video, a Nest security video posted by a Smithfield resident that shows a member of law enforcement taking signs off of their yard, specifically the park strip in front of their house. And not just taking the signs down, but actually loading them up and driving away with them. This led to calls of, this is illegal, you should get an attorney, people should complain to the city. Let me tell you this. The city, I don't know the exact ordinance, but I'm guessing, because this is not at all uncommon, the city probably has an ordinance that says you can't put signs there in the park strip in front of your home. Because, again, not at all rare, that generally belongs to the city. Even though you mow it and water it and care for it to keep your property value up, that little strip between the sidewalk and the street, whether it's dirt, gravel, or grass, or trees, or empty, with just curbing, it belongs to the city. Even though it's in front of your house and you keep it looking nice, it belongs to the city. You can't put signs there, whether it's a political sign or whether it's a sign for your favorite TV show. You can't. But to pick up the signs, throw them in the back of your pickup truck, and drive off when you had so many better options. And I'm not criticizing the officer in this case, because I'm assuming the officer was just doing his job, operating under instructions either from the city or I'm guessing from the city. I'll talk about how much better this Cache Valley viral moment from just this morning could have been handled on the other side here on KVNU's 4.
Keeping you informed 24/7. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Whether you weld it, drill it, or bolt it, whatever type of metal project you're working on, make sure you buy your metal products from Palmer's Metal Mart. With locations in Lehigh and Logan, you are never too far from amazing deals on all types of metal products. Steel tubing and pipe, metal roofing and siding, rebar, angle iron, sheet metal, aluminum, and stainless steel. You will love the selection and price at Palmer's Metal Mart. For over 31 years, Palmer's Metal Mart has been the source for metal projects big or small. Get into Palmer's Metal Mart today and take advantage of all the amazing deals this spring. Huge discounts on tubing and pipe, 15% discount on all in-stock metal roofing panels. You will love the selection. If you can't haul what you need, let Metal Mart deliver your product to you. We could give you our phone number now, but do you really have a pen and paper handy? So, look us up. Palmer's Metal Mart in Lehigh and Logan. Everyone's metal store. See you soon.
Fatigue, headaches, weight gain, hair loss, insomnia, anxiety, intestinal issues, joint pain. Do you suffer from consistent symptoms like these, and no matter how many doctors you see, things still don't improve? Whether you have a thyroid problem, an autoimmune issue, or chronic symptoms, we can help. We do complex medical testing and blood work to find the mechanisms driving your symptoms. And then we create a plan to improve each one while we teach you the tools to stay on top of your health. We've been helping patients just like you for almost 14 years now. We see patients from all over the world, and we have an office here in St. George, Logan, Salt Lake, Farmington, and Springville. You aren't crazy, you aren't lazy. It's not just because you're getting older, and these symptoms are not normal. No matter what symptoms you have, you shouldn't feel this way, and we can help. Don't accept Band-Aid answers.
Call Red River Health and Wellness at 855-55-RIVER.
Call Red River today.
Senior Moments. Sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group on News Talk KVNU.
My name is Bruce Lee. I am here with my co-host Sid Roeder. We're here for another fun show.
This radio show is sponsored by the Empowering Seniors Group, which is a group of professionals that has dedicated their time and efforts to provide information that is hopefully useful to seniors, their family members, caretakers, and really anybody who's interested.
Senior Moments, every Saturday morning at 7:30 right here on News Talk KVNU.
A viral moment from social media in Cache Valley last evening and this morning, and in relation to other viral moments, this was a pretty small viral moment, but for Cache Valley, it was big. What it was a Smithfield resident who posted video from their Nest home security system of a scene in front of their house involving their political signs. And in the scene, I've posted it to our Facebook page if you'd like to see it for yourself, but my attempt at a description here. Now, one, you can't see the identification of the city on the police vehicle. You can clearly see it is a pickup truck with the word police on the side. And the person behind the Twitter account says they are a Smithfield resident and tagged Smithfield City's Twitter handle in the tweet and said, basically, hey, what gives with this, my signs being taken from my yard? In the video, you see a member of law enforcement, police officer, get out of the vehicle, come around to two political signs, one on each side of the sidewalk going up to the house, and both signs are on the park strip street side from the sidewalk. So not in the person's yard, but in the park strip on the other side of the sidewalk from the person's yard. A quick minor defense of the city in this situation. And a full-throated defense of the police officer who was clearly, I think, safe assumption, just doing his job under instructions. So this is not a criticism on the member of law enforcement. But assuming operating under instructions, what you see in the video is the member of law enforcement. He comes to the front of the house, the signs in the park strip, right on the edge by the street, pulls them out of the grass, tosses them in the back of the pickup truck, and drives off. Again, in defense of the city, no criticism for the officer here. This is pointed at the city. In defense of the city, I will say, well, for the folks out there, it's not at all rare. In fact, I would argue you'll find most cities have some kind of ordinance regulating signs like this. And the short version is, for very good reasons, cities have to have rules about those park strips. And one of those rules is you can't put stuff there. You can't put signage there. You can't put a sign for your favorite TV show or a political candidate. It doesn't matter what. That property doesn't belong to you. You mow it, you water it, you maintain it to keep your property value up. But ironically, it is not yours. Everything outside of the sidewalk towards the street from your house, in most cases, belongs to the city. And they have rules about you putting stuff there. And those rules exist for good reason. So there's my defense of the city. The criticism in this situation, where I agree with the person who posted the video on Twitter, is there were so many better ways to handle this that would not have gone viral. One, if you're taking the time to have law enforcement out patrolling the streets, looking for political signs in park strips, why not ask law enforcement to just pull the signs up and move them into the yard, 3 feet away across the sidewalk where they are legal? To pull the signs out of the grass and leave with them might not be a crime, but is absolutely disrespectful to the homeowners. And if your response to that is, well, they were being disrespectful by violating the ordinance by putting them in the park strip, okay, that's your response. I maintain taking the signs is disrespectful. This is what petty opposition campaigns do. They go out and steal their opponent's signs. Now, I'm not saying that anything in this situation was political. I doubt it. And again, this isn't a criticism or an attack on the officer in the video, who was clearly, and I think safe to assume, just doing his job. He'd likely been asked to do this very thing. It is a real problem. There was a city outside in Salt Lake County a few years ago in municipal races. I think it was 2 municipal race cycles ago. They actually had to involve unified police and even the county sheriff because the sign war between 2 particular campaigns had gotten so out of hand, it presented a traffic safety problem. So, I mean, that's an extreme example. But again, there are very good reasons cities have rules like this. And in general, in most cities, that park strip doesn't actually belong to you. You can put a very temporary sign up in an emergency, probably without attracting much attention. But if you were to go out there, and I believe some cities will allow you to put a for sale by owner or a realtor sign if you're selling your home out in that park strip as a courtesy because it's more noticeable from the street. Some cities, you want to check on that. But in general, that park strip does not belong to you. Your property ends at the sidewalk, headed out from your house. And that sidewalk running, across your property is public property. And generally, there are exceptions, but they're rare. Generally, everything street side of that sidewalk, everything from the sidewalk to the street belongs to the city. It is the case in Logan City. It is in the case where I live. It is the case with most cities here in Cache Valley. There's only one city I couldn't verify, and that was Clarkston. I don't know for sure out there. But I looked at them all, and that park strip doesn't belong to you, and there are rules. Now, every city's different on this, but the rules in Smithfield, you cannot place political signs, campaign signs, any signs in that park strip. There are public safety reasons for this. There are city beautification reasons for this. There are neighborhood character reasons for this. It could be any reason. Doesn't matter. And if you disagree with it, the proper response is to lobby your city council to change that ordinance. So the signs shouldn't have been there. Sure. But again, this moment went viral because the signs were yanked out of the grass and taken away. I don't understand. Now, granted, I don't know everything about this scenario. It is quite possible this was a situation that may have been a repeat offense kind of thing. Maybe they'd asked this individual again and again to stop putting the signs in the park strip, and maybe the homeowner had refused. And so finally it was just like, all right, we're going to start taking the signs, in which case, whole different story. But from what the video shows, and on the chance that this was just a one-off, officer has been asked to go out and police this kind of thing for good reason. There are public safety reasons, there are neighborhood character and beautification reasons, and primarily that's not your property reasons. That's the city's property. So without permission from the city, you can't put a sign there. You have to put it on your yard, back from the sidewalk. That's not going to kill anybody. It's not it's not tyranny on the city's part. So I defend the city on all those fronts. What I don't defend, again, is in this video, pulling the signs out of the grass and not stepping 3 feet onto the lawn and sticking them into the grass on the lawn. Again, with the disclaimer that if this was a repeat offender scenario, whole different story. But if this was just officer out patrolling, looking for this kind of thing under instruction from the city, at the request of the city, why not include the instruction that if you see the signs in the park strip, just move them back onto the lawn, off of the park strip, and maybe take a second to let the homeowner know, because a lot of people don't know they aren't allowed to have them in the park strip. A completely avoidable scenario on the city's part, but it has now gone viral, and you're probably going to be seeing this one on your evening news, but as usual, we get to it before them. Frustrating to see this kind of thing, to say the least, because it is, again, 100% avoidable. And common sense, I think, on the city's part would have said, let's not be instructing law enforcement to go out and take the signs off of people's yards. Disrespectful, to say the least. Probably not illegal, as some have argued online, but absolutely 100% disrespectful. We'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People on the other side of these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Law enforcement has released the identity of the 26-year-old Nibley man killed Saturday night in a motorcycle crash east of Hiram. Luis Salas died at the scene after sideswiping another motorcyclist in Blacksmith Fork Canyon. Utah Highway Patrol Sergeant Kate Brenchley said Salas was riding a 2007 blue Suzuki traveling east on State Route 101 just after 8:30 p.m. Near milepost 19, he crossed the center line and struck a 2004 white Kawasaki being ridden by a 27-year-old Logan man, Samuel Guyman. Witnesses told troopers that Salas was speeding, and when he went into a turn and couldn't stay in his own lane, the two motorcyclists struck leg to leg and were both thrown from their bikes. Passerbys and first responders attempted life-saving measures, but Salas died at the scene, while Guyman, the driver of the Kawasaki, was taken to Logan Regional Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No other vehicles were involved. With summer here, off-roading enthusiasts are out exploring the backcountry. A recent guide from On Off-Road ranks the top states in the U.S. for off-roading, with Utah, Idaho, and Wyoming standing out for their extensive and varied trails. Utah is rated as the second best state for off-roading overall, with an off-roading score of 87.4 out of 100. The state boasts 1,124 trails, second only to Arizona. Utah also ranks high in trail difficulty variety and seasonal availability, making it a top choice for off-roaders looking for both easy and challenging routes. Notable trails include the Golden Spike Auto Tour and the Transcontinental Railroad Byway, spanning 96.4 miles. Idaho is ranked 6th overall with a score of 51. The state features 574 off-roading trails, placing it 5th in trail quantity. It's known for both easy and difficult trails, including the Magruder Corridor, which extends 146.3 miles. Idaho's diverse terrain makes it a prime destination for off-roaders of all skill levels. KVNU weather brought to you by Roof Rescue, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry. From minor repairs to complete roof replacement, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind. Call 435-999-4268 or see roofrescueusa.com. Mostly clear tonight, updated overnight low around 41. Much better than this morning's 27. Mostly sunny tomorrow in the upper 70s, around 78. First day of summer Thursday, sunny, becoming sunny, and 88 degrees for the high. Get more news at CashValleyDaily.com.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. The head of Boeing facing a Senate panel over strange and sometimes deadly aircraft safety issues. Described this way by Senator Richard Blumenthal, Connecticut Democrat.
Some sort of believe that Boeing might have changed, but then this past January, the facade literally blew off the hollow shell that had been Boeing's promises to the world.
David Calhoun says he's trying to fix the safety culture at Boeing. Firefighters say 10 people are at the hospital after a building collapse in Syracuse, New York. Executive actions to help undocumented immigrants live and work legally in the U.S. from President Biden, including applications for work visas and to live with longtime American spouses permanently in the U.S. Senate Republicans have blocked a bipartisan bill to outlaw gun bump stocks. Thousands have fled their homes as a fast-moving wildfire burns into the mountain village in New Mexico. This is ABC News.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
Hey Utah, summer has come alive. Truly the best season to get out and drive. Yes, road trips, adventures, new places, all better in a new vehicle from Murdoch Chevrolet. So come alive and drive. Right now, take up to $10,000 off a new Murdoch Chevy Silverado 1500. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Chevrolet in Logan and Woods Cross or online at MurdochChev.com. Chevrolet, together let's ride.
Call 866-628-3065. See dealer for complete details. Offer expires 6/30/24.
Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic now have an office located inside the Miller Medical Building in Tremonton. Every Friday, Northern Utah's premier ear, nose, and throat medical physicians and staff will provide Box Elder County a better option to be seen. Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat and the Allergy Clinic are now located in Tremonton. Save time, schedule your appointment today. Go to CacheValleyENT.com. That's CacheValleyENT.com for details. Most insurance products, including SelectMed, are accepted.
Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic has an experienced and caring team of physicians and staff to assist you with all of your ear, nose, and throat concerns, including head and neck surgery. Doctors Kaiser and Wilson and their staff at Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic will work together to provide excellent care and support throughout the entire surgery process, from your pre-op visit to your full recovery. And they accept all insurance. For more information about Doctors Kaiser or Wilson, search Budge Clinic ENT or call 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Warmer temperatures have both weeds and grass competing for space in your yard. Dandelions, thistle, clover, morning glory will all be kept under better control when you have us applying pre-emergence and weed control. At the same time, we can feed your grass to make sure it wins the battle and keep it lush and growing all season long. Regular visits from the lawn doctor will help your lawn be healthier and pest-free.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, at 753-LAWN. Follow them on Facebook or go to LawnDoctorCacheValley.com.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru for Morris Columbus Travel and AMA Waterways. Explore Europe on a deluxe river cruise and step back in time as you sail along the Danube River, visiting Austria, Hungary, and Slovakia. To book your next AMA Waterways river cruise, give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
Keep chasing the wild, Utah. There's no better way to get out there than with the Polaris Expedition. With a long-range fuel tank, seating for up to 5, and Fox suspension, you and your crew will be riding from dawn until dusk. Polaris. Think outside.
That was supposed to be music. Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Bear with us. This is new equipment, new studio, temporary studio as they rebuild ours. And, well, that just didn't work. I'll be blunt. I put something in the wrong place is what happened there. But welcome back to KVNU's For the People. This is a political success for Senators Mike Lee and Mitt Romney. And it might not seem like a big deal to everyone out there, but if you've recently tried to get your passport or travel overseas with a old passport that needed renewing, well, you may have found that it has been a lengthy and difficult process. Well, believe it or not, there is now, for the first time ever, I can't believe that, an actual passport office, dedicated passport office in Utah, in Salt Lake City. Senator Mitt Romney and Senator Mike Lee, about a year and a half ago, put out a joint press release on this. And they were joined quickly after by Utah's full congressional delegation. So both United States senators and everyone in our congressional delegation pushing to bring a passport office to Salt Lake City. The closest passport office to Salt Lake prior to this, Denver. But Senator Mitt Romney, who originally championed this and then got Senator Lee on board and got the congressional delegation on board, he said, this is absolutely ridiculous that the nearest passport office to a major city like Salt Lake City and the entire population of Utah is Denver. Romney said at the time in a press release, Utah's experiencing rapid population growth as it becomes a center for global commerce and tourism, as well as a home base for thousands of Latter-day Saints who embark on worldwide religious missions each and every day of each and every year. Romney said a passport agency in Salt Lake will now mean that Utahns will not have to travel such long distances to obtain in-person consular services. Now, granted, that's not something every person going on a vacation to Europe is going to need, but it does come up quite more often than most people think. Romney said, I could not be more thrilled in today's announcement. The announcement was from the Department of Interior. Secretary Blinken said, State Department, Secretary Blinken said that 6 new agencies will open, including one in Salt Lake, and the department is going to be issuing more passports than ever before. Blinken said, to better serve the growing number of Americans seeking U.S. passports, the department is taking some steps to establish these 6 new passport agencies. Offices opening in Salt Lake City, Kansas City, Missouri, Orlando, Florida, Charlottesville, North Carolina, San Antonio, Texas, and Cincinnati, Ohio. Blinken said this reflects our commitment to provide prompt customer service to more Americans closer to where they live. Romney, again, with the support of he got Senator Lee on board, he got our entire congressional delegation on board in 2023, and was able to insert language into the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024 that required the State Department to determine if they should open more passport offices closer to population centers if it was more than a 5-hour drive from a passport agency. Salt Lake City, of course, is further than 5 hours from Denver. At a passport fair that Romney helped organize to kind of prove his point back in February of this year, he said his sole purpose was to encourage the State Department to open a passport office. And again, at that time said, we have a lot of people in Utah who do a lot of travel internationally. We have a lot of missionaries. We have a lot of families, big families. They want to go around the world and see different places. But again, that whole process stymied. Now, you can go fill out the paperwork and send in the forms at your local post office, get your photo taken there even. You do have to make an appointment, and it doesn't happen. I don't think they do those every day. So how does that process change now that there is a passport office in Salt Lake? That process doesn't. But what does change is the gigantic wait time With a passport office in Salt Lake, that means that, one, less of the work is being concentrated in just the Denver office. There will now be this office and it's 5 others, taking some of that workload off of the existing offices nationwide. And as Romney said in the original letter, which he wrote way back in 2021 before he mounted this campaign publicly last year, way back in 2021, Senator Romney wrote to Secretary Blinken and said, what this means, not having an office in Salt Lake, is that residents throughout the Western Mountain region must renew their passports by mail or travel significant distances to neighboring states to access the nearest passport office. Same-day in-person services. Did you know that was a thing? No one here in Utah knew that was a thing, right? If you recently tried to renew your passport or get one for the first time, you would think the same-day service was just not possible and that there must be good reason for that. Well, no, it turns out the reason is that there just aren't a lot of passport offices. Now there are 5 more, at least. So Romney pointed out when he wrote to Blinken way back in 2021, now this would have been his second year as United States Senator, he said, Tuesday residents throughout today, as it stands right now, writing in 2021, residents in the Western Mountain region, Idaho, Oregon, Montana, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, that's the Western Mountain region, they have to renew their passports by mail, or, for example, those in Salt Lake City have to drive to Denver, that's the closest place, to get a passport renewed if they don't have 6 months to do the regular mail process. If there's a passport office, you can have same-day in-person service. You just have to get there. So it's for Cache Valley residents. It's now a 90-minute drive to Salt Lake. Well, okay, it's not open yet. It's going to be open soon, within the coming months. But once this office opens, you'll be able to drive to Salt Lake, and that very day, renew your passport or have everything finalized to have one coming to you in the mail from the federal government and the State Department within a couple of weeks. Instead of this 6-month process that it takes now, which, believe me, I know a lot of people who have changed vacation plans or, sadly, in one case, even skipped a vacation because they weren't able to get their passport renewed in time. And they didn't want to drive to Denver to take care of it, understandably. Romney also pointed out in his statement today upon the news that this office would be opening that Utah is the fastest growing state, and Salt Lake City is also the West Coast hub for Delta Airlines. He said every year Utah receives about 250,000. Yeah, every year, about 250,000 requests for passports. The demand will only amplify when, 250,000 visitors using passports. And the demand will only amplify if the 2034 Olympics come to Utah. So, this is pretty, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal. And granted, passports for most of us at most come up once a year, if that, maybe once every few years for most people, maybe once every 10 years even. So, this wasn't ruining anyone's life, but we all know someone who has waited a little bit too long or forgot that their passport was expired, and it almost ruined a family vacation, all because your choice was to either have 6 months to do it through mail, and if you didn't, you had to drive to Denver. Now you just have to drive to Salt Lake. And again, just feel like we should announce this here on the show because, honestly, I'll bet many Utahns didn't know about this. I didn't if I hadn't read Romney's letter back in 2021. But yes, this could all be same-day in-person service. And once this office is open, which they said it will be up and running by the end of July, once this office is open, then they will it's a 90-minute drive to go renew your passport. Even if you are planning to leave for vacation the next week, that would be a possibility. So this is a pretty big deal. The coolest thing about this, though, is Romney got this taken care of by basically writing letters, holding a little publicity stunt to Passport Fair back in February of this year to pressure the State Department, and then sending Secretary Blinken a lot of data on travel to and from Utah, the number of Mormon missionaries that leave the Salt Lake City airport every year, all kinds of things like that. And then, of course, getting his colleagues on Capitol Hill to band with him, and made it happen. So News official today, State Department Secretary Anthony Blinken announcing a passport office will soon open in Salt Lake City. First time ever, unbelievably. We'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Wonder is timeless. Discovery is everlasting. And exploration is never-ending. At Loveland Living Planet Aquarium, we cherish the unforgettable memories you've shared with us for the past 25 years. Thank you for being a part of our story. Visit livingplanetaquarium.org to embark on a new adventure and continue our journey together.
Retirement. Are you ready? Adams Wealth Advisors specializes in preparing you for a secure retirement. There's no reason to feel frustrated. The team at Adams Wealth will create a personalized plan that includes timing of retirement, reliable income sources, Social Security, estate planning, and more. Adams Wealth Advisors has a team of CPA, certified financial planners, Social Security experts to help you plan and retire with confidence. Call today, 752-1702, or visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com. Your dream retirement starts here.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. Could it be a member of Congress, a governor, or a dark horse from the corporate world? The political pros and cons of Donald Trump's short list of vice presidential candidates and their bios. Also, why would there be a sunscreen ingredient in your frozen pizza? And the current money term, Vibesession. Tips on investing in it. Wednesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Just want to give Chase Levitt a shout out one more time. I've linked to some of his socials and his podcast on our Facebook page, but young guy, just starting college, very, very engaged in the political process and getting to know candidates and campaigns, and just really fun to be able to talk about politics from a Gen Z perspective. Very unique generation. Again, I'm sure that's said about every generation, but this, I think it really is true about Gen Z, especially when it comes to politics being so online and so communication and marketing driven. And that's where Gen Z seems to be the most different from previous generations. So a pleasure to have Chase in, and expect to hear more from Chase. We're going to work out some way to do, somewhat regular events with him here on the show to pick the mind of a Gen Zer, but also to kind of talk about how politics is falling on young ears. Because this generation is going to, I predict, be a bit of a game changer when it comes to the way candidates campaign, trying to solicit their votes as they become the majority voting bloc, as they age into that position. It's going to be, I think, healthy, long overdue changes. So yeah, expect to hear a bit more from Chase. Speaking of candidates and campaigns, Chase is very vocal supporter of Phil Lyman. I personally am a fan of Phil Lyman as a person. You will not meet a nicer lawmaker. I've always enjoyed having him on the show as a state legislator over the years. But Phil, we got to talk about your Twitter account, man. I've never seen anything like this. So in this campaign for governor, Phil Lyman has a Twitter account that was always his personal account when he was a state lawmaker. When he launched his gubernatorial campaign, he turned it over to, he said, a team of people who took it over. And he has said outright at in-person events when asked about certain tweets, especially the one that got Utah on CNN when the person running Phil's account that day tweeted that the bridge crashed into the Baltimore Bridge boat crashed into the Baltimore Bridge because of DEI, which is basically like saying that black people being hired caused a boat to crash into a bridge. Understandably, that's going to get national attention. That is a dumb thing to say. It did get national attention. It was on CNN, and Phil was asked about it at in-person events after that for about a week, and all he said was, I don't run that account, which I don't think is a great look for someone running for governor. You know, I don't know who runs the account with my name on it. Make me governor. So he's walked away from that a little bit, and he's just said, my team runs it, but I support their messaging. Things have been pretty calm until today. Phil, we got to talk, man. Again, this guy is one of the nicest people you'll meet in politics, and he is 100% sincere in his campaign. We've had him here on the show talking about it. I know it's a long shot. It's always a long shot to defeat a popular incumbent governor. But if Phil wasn't running, there wouldn't be a primary. And so all due respect to Phil, and he deserves a lot of respect for just being in this race. But today, Phil's Twitter account retweeted an individual on Twitter claiming that his Wi-Fi was going down every time he tried to search anything to do with Phil's campaign. Only then. I was working at all other times, but if you search for Phil Lyman or WinRed to make a donation to Phil Lyman's campaign, or tried to go to Phil's Twitter account through the browser on his desktop rather than the app on his phone, that his Wi-Fi would go down. And that Governor Cox was behind this. That is a wacky thing to declare. And I think all of us could confidently say also a not true thing. Governors don't have that kind of power, and thank goodness, right? But Phil's campaign retweeted it uncritically. Phil's lieutenant governor candidate retweeted it with the added words, I wish I could say I was surprised, which implies she believes this is happening. Folks, I'll be blunt. Some of us need to get a grip. I've been a long time critic of critics who say the problem with our politics is polarization. I don't agree. I don't think that Americans are actually that polarized. And anytime you survey Americans on specific issues as opposed to parties and candidates, you'll see that. Americans aren't polarized. The parties, both major parties, the